Good morning and welcome to the Daily Light Devotion. I hope all of you have had a wonderful Saturday yesterday and looking forward to today. That is the 12th of October. Today we're going to look at uh, uh, one of my favorite stories in the Bible. That is, found in John chapter 4, verses 1 to 26. It's the encounter of this lady, Samaritan lady with Jesus. The title of today's um, devotion is Encountering the Savior. Uh, at Jacob's well, a weary Samaritan woman came seeking water, but found something far greater, an encounter with the Savior of the world. So Jesus crossed cultures and personal barriers, right, to meet her where she was, offering her the living water and revealing himself as the Messiah. And her story reminds us that when we encounter Jesus, right, and it's a kind of personal testimony for me too, it changes our lives. Jesus he transforms our lives and leads us into true worship. So verses 1 to 6, Jesus therefore, I'm just going to read the gist. Therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the wall. Though tired because it was a long journey, Jesus waited for her. This meeting was no accident, but it was divine appointment for this lady. So our encounters with Christ are never by chance. He meets us at the right time, at the and right place, right? Because then a woman of Samaria came to draw water, verses 7 to 9. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." So Jesus reached across gender, culture, and religion to engage her. The Savior breaks through every wall of humanistic philosophy, belief, to reach us, right? Everything. Um, there were so many things. If they looked at it the lens of the Jewish culture, there was what Jesus did wrong. First of all, he shouldn't have spoken to her because she was not with her husband. Second, she was Samaritan. He's Jew. They did not engage, right? And asking water from a lady who they thought was impure. Samaritans were impure because they got married. They were Jews who got married to people from other, faith or following who are not Jews. It was everything was wrong about this in the religious terms of the Jewish religious, terms that the Pharisees and the Sadducees had set. Um, but Jesus just, he came for the work. He's there for every one of us. It doesn't matter what the background we come from, and that's what it shows these verses. There's so much into it, so deep into it. There's so much things into it that if I start explaining that, it'll take a lot of time. Um, Verses 10 to 15. Um, so the lady questions Jesus. Um, uh, you know, uh, you know, why did you talk to me? Like, she's shocked. She never in her wildest imagination could imagine a person who's a Jew sitting there and asked drink from her. So Jesus then replies in verses 10 to 15, says, if you knew the gift of God and who is it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked, and he would have given you living water. So Jesus offered her something greater than physical water, eternal water. An encounter with Jesus awakens the deeper thirst of things of God. So what Jesus was talking about was, you know, not normal water. He was saying that I am the one who's come to change the lives of every human being. And if you knew who I was, you would ask me for that. Right here, because she's dealing with water, Jesus always, used to speak like that. If he was, in the fields, he would speak about the fields. He would with the farming community, we talk about seeds. So Jesus gave real time, um, examples or analogies so that people could relate to it. And versus and then she has a discussion that how would you get the water out? You don't have this thing, and so Jesus then verses 16 to 19 says, Jesus says, go call your husband. The woman answered, I have no husband. So Jesus revealed her past, yet treated her with dignity. So Jesus says, you're right, that you've been married like, around 5 times, and right now the person you're living with also is not your husband. And she's shocked with that. But the way Jesus expressed it, was not condemning, because she understood that this guy, she started calling him prophet, right? And then she started talking spiritual with him about worship, and what is true worship. And Jesus tells her in verse 20 to 24, true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. John 4:24, right? Jesus shifted the focus from the place to the posture of the heart, actually, right? Encountering the Savior leads us into genuine worship. And verses 25 to 26, and the woman said, I know the Messiah is coming. And Jesus said, I who speaks to you as am he. So Jesus revealed himself clearly to her. And it's quite amazing, because the greatest encounter is recognizing Jesus as Savior, right? And so there's so much to learn from these verses. I can't go through all the verses because it's a deep, deep teaching. Maybe I'll do it later in one of the devotions or complete Bible study. Verses. So, what are some of the life applications in these verses? Trust that Jesus seeks us for a personal encounter. If you believe that, you will encounter Jesus in a personal way. We need to break down barriers when we share Christ's love with others. It doesn't matter who the person is. God looking only for the heart, right? Let Him satisfy our spiritual thirst with His living water, right? Allow Him to confront the truth with grace, leading into transformation about our lives. We need to move from ritual to genuine worship in spirit and truth, and finally confess and embrace Jesus as our personal Savior. So, the Samaritan woman came from for water, but left with a new life because she encountered the Savior. And Jesus still meets us in our ordinary moments, right? Offering living water, forgiveness, and the truth. When we encounter Him, our emptiness is replaced with joy, and worship uh, becomes real for us. So I want to encourage you today that, seek God, try to seek and want to encounter Him in a new way, because that is going to change our lives. Encountering God will change everything that we have in our lives. I want to encourage you. Have a wonderful Sunday, and and seek God. Want a true desire to encounter Jesus where He is. It's a different experience when you encounter Jesus, right? Like this lady, it transformed. She was ashamed to, and that's why she came in the middle of the afternoon. But when she encountered Jesus, things changed, and she called nearly the whole of her village. So the shame, the things that shamed her went away. God bless each one of you, and have a wonderful Sunday. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.